getting started. Oh yeah, we're talking about appreciative inquiry today. So I guess who's who's all familiar with has anyone heard of this before? Kristen has.
I think I have too.
Yeah, you probably have. Cool. And you know what? You don't have to be like um, an expert in this, but I think this is a tool that you can have in your toolbox when you're working with teams. So appreciative inquiry is really just a technique, and it was created in the 1980s as a different approach to traditional problem solving. So if you think about traditional problem solving, um, that really says like look for the problem, diagnose it, find a solution. Um, and what appreciative inquiry its focus is, it really says by paying attention to problems, we're emphasizing and amplifying them. So appreciative inquiry uh, focuses on leadership development and organizational change. It has roots in positive psychology. So we'll get a little pop psych on folks. Um, uh, and that's the study of positive subjective experience, positive individual traits, and positive institutions promises to improve quality of life. Uh, Positive psychology focuses on individual and societal well-being. So, uh, I think with appreciative inquiry, it's not so much a shift in the methods or models for organizational change. Really a shift in your perspective, um, to see the wholeness of like human system, and to inquire into that system's strengths, possibilities, and successes. So it really says look for what works in an organization. And the assumption is kind of relating an organization to a piece of art. In every art, there's beauty, and organizations are expressions of beauty. The beauty may come in different forms, in different flavors, depending on the day. But try to say take yourself in a way out of your head, right? And it's a series of statements that describe where you want to be based on high moments of where you've been. Um, and it kind of says that because your statements are grounded in experience and history, your organization knows how to repeat that success, and it's saying your organization is successful, so build on that. Overall, it's really a way to create shared vision and new perspectives, and I think this is what we'll kind of look at today. So see here. So if we look at traditional problem solving, the basic assumption is that an organization is a problem to be solved, or you have something that is a problem to be solved, and so you identify the problem, analysis of causes, solutions, and planning. We do this really, really well, right? Because everybody does this. It's kind of like our go-to method. But when we look at appreciative inquiry, we're really saying we appreciate and value the best of what is. We envision what might be, and then we recognize that we can't always get to perfection, but we can get to what should be, and determine what will be. And this is based on the assumption that there's something that works in every organization or group. The backbone of this is that there's self-determined change. So, I think a lot of times when we're talking about team dynamics and working in teams and getting to the point where people don't have a shared perspective, a lot of that is based on assumptions in organizations. And if you think about it, assumptions are the set of beliefs shared by the group. So they cause the group to think and act in different ways or in certain ways. Um, you know, in groups, be, like when we talk about groups thinking and acting in certain ways, that's like group behavior. And, certain groups do have to make assumptions and in terms of how they behave in order to be successful, right? So that really tells us that assumptions aren't always bad. They do allow the work they do allow the group to work efficiently. So, if you think about assumptions, in a team, you probably know how somebody's code is going to look, or you know how somebody will go about solving a problem, and so you don't have to necessarily micromanage or question every decision that that person made if you're, say, a lead, or if it's a coworker, you don't have to us like you don't have to ask them, did you ask this specific question all the time, right? So that does make a group more efficient. When assumptions start getting bad is when the group starts missing opportunities for improvement or change. So, you know, uh, the question might be, are we working in the most efficient manner? Are there options we haven't considered? And the hard part is knowing when and how to challenge uh, assumptions that the group is working under. So, I think what I've seen with assumptions with people, in groups where they've gone wrong is when, say, we had, say, Larry, and that's not his real name, but uh, the team believed that Larry didn't want to change to like a new Java framework, and that he hated anything new and this and that and the other, right? So that was the assumption that the team was working under. Um and what I saw on the team was, well, we can't change anything because of Larry, and Larry all of a sudden became the obstructionist. And that was you know, that was an assumption that really kind of went wrong. So, at a certain point, ended up talking to Larry. I found out he wasn't actually against change. He had concerns that had to be addressed. And because of his role on the team, we had to address those concerns before the group could move on. But understanding that our assumption was just fundamentally wrong, that he didn't want to change, was was holding the whole team back. We lost months when it came down to it. Uh, because we nobody felt like they could go talk to Larry because we were under that assumption. And I will say the assumption wasn't unfounded. I mean, Larry didn't like anything. So and he didn't trust a lot of people. But in that case it was not right. So let's see here. Um, so we have a few core principles for appreciative inquiry. And, I think when we start looking at these core principles, um, there's a lot here, but I think what you really get to with appreciative inquiry is that kind of what you see on the left hand side, like words create worlds, right? So we get caught up in our head with assumptions. um don't One of the ways we can trigger change is to question those assumptions. And sometimes the best way to express, like, our concerns is through a story, because we know that we're not working with kind of one dimension in the workplace. There's feelings, there's institutional problems, there may be management problems, there may be historical, like, concerns that people have, and all these dimensions come together and express different ways. So we have to kind of take a look at the whole picture. But taking ourselves out and having conversations can drive to action or change. And appreciative inquiry is about creating positive questions that enact positive change. So, yeah. So kind of shortened up. Um, this is the cycle that's usually associated with appreciative inquiry. And what we're going to do is kind of break into groups and run through this cycle. I will walk everyone through each one when it comes time to it. So we're going to combine both a kind of practical exercise along with talking about appreciative inquiry. And you see in the center, there's a topic. So we're going to start with a topic. Um, and then we'll work through what is, what might be, what should be, and what will be. Make sense? So, to start out for a topic, we're going to break into, I think, groups of three. And in those groups, I'd like people to kind of take on the roles in this topic or different roles in this topic to kind of work through appreciative inquiry and get sort of a real world like feel. So, in the topic, you're on a small team of developers. The team has a few developers who are new and they want to update the development framework because been using the same one for years. And let's see here. And the framework is old. It requires more manual work than a newer framework. So objectively speaking, you see it has potential to make people's lives easier. Now, also, you have several other developers who have gotten familiar with the old framework. It took them a lot of time to be able to understand it, and they're nervous about switching to something new. So, if you're this set of folks, what I would say, is perhaps you have a certain level of frustration because you have already put a lot of time in. You don't really understand what is currently being used, but you know enough to know how to do what most of what you need to do. And there's a little bit of worry that you won't, uh, understand the new one. And then there's a few other developers who've been left behind, and they use old technologies. They don't even know the old framework, and they feel left out. They don't necessarily feel obstructionist, but they don't feel like they're able to keep up. And so, what I would say here is that there's a certain amount of fear. Some folks probably have fear about, um, not having jobs. Um, some probably have fears about not being able to learn because they just feel like they're getting further and further behind. And then the third role, I didn't talk about this too much, but the somebody who's new and you want to update the development framework. And in that mindset, I would say you're somebody who's like, this is really old and it's harder and it requires more work. And yeah, there's probably a little bit of new and shiny that goes along with that. The question in the topic around this appreciative inquiry exercise is how does the team decide to do what to do next, or what are the next steps? So let me see here. I'm going to stop sharing.
How long do you want the breakout rooms for?
Let's see here. Oh, Ashley, I will share. I think let's do maybe 4 minutes, and in this first set, I'm going to share my screen now because I actually realize I do want to walk through. Oh, crap. I can't do anything, you guys. All right. So in this first one, what I'd like to talk about, or what I'd like you to talk about in your groups is, you know, it's a little bit of role playing here, I understand, but talk about, maybe pick your role, talk about like maybe tap into an experience you had in the past, and maybe talk about things that you would value or you think somebody in your role would value. Maybe 3 wishes that you have, or something that you thought was, that is really great about whatever kind of position you have, if that makes sense. So let me see here. Now let me see if I can stop sharing. Hopefully I was sharing.
Oh, you weren't sharing, I don't think.
Darn it. Okay, hold on. Let me share again.
Yay.
Oh, I'm gonna get technology someday, you guys. Okay. Um, so to kind of reiterate, take a look, kind of establish what your role is. Maybe try to tap into an experience you had before that you can use when thinking about this role. And also start establishing yourself in that, in with that mindset. Maybe talk to your cohort about 3 wishes that you would have, like about, whatever decision you make next, like what's really good about things, and maybe even what's bad or what you don't like, if that makes sense. So let's see here. Break into,
You said 2 rooms?
yeah.
Okay. I put the topic context in the chat for everybody. And then those things that Elizabeth said to do are also there. So pick your role, think of past experiences, what does someone in your role value, and then what is great about your position. So that should be in the chat for everybody so that you can still see it when you go to your breakout rooms. All right, and now through the magic of Zoom, it should automatically send you to a place and you should see other humans. And if you do not, or you are confused, let me know.
Okay.
Here we go, 4 minutes.
Elizabeth, when you're getting frustrated with the technology, I wanted to tell you, I came here from another meetup and the presenter there was getting so animated, he knocked over a smoothie onto his keyboard and was like a total wreck.
Oh no.
It was sad and hilarious all at the same time.
Also, Susan, I need to apologize to you. I just realized I never emailed you back. I am so
that's
sorry.
Okay. You're starting new things. I understand. No worries.
Yep, I was in a whirlwind. We should talk after this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So part of the appreciative inquiry process is that there is a, you would probably be playing a mediator, and so as part of that, you set out the topic, you form the groups, and just like we did, and then after each step in the process, you pull everyone together to debrief. So we're going to do a debrief. So it's a little different, but I'm going to kind of ask a few questions. How did everybody feel when people expressed their opinions about the new framework? Did you guys get that far?
We got that far. I was the curmudgeon in the group, and I was like, I don't know, I value stability, and all of my experiences with trying to do these newfangled upgrades were, poor, and we always had to go back to the old stuff. And so I just don't feel like doing work that's not going to be valued.
Mhm.
Um,
Did you find out anything about your coworkers and their opinions?
Adrian had very positive experiences as the person who embraces change. And then in reality, the Kristen and me, not the curmudgeon, really appreciated Eric's perspective of like, we need more organizational transparency and we need like a safer, like psychologically safe environment because we can't hold each other accountable to all of this like stuff that's going on. So yeah, we were all over the board. It was great.
I don't know if Tanya, if you or Susan want to talk. If I can say that I felt like Susan feels way ahead of me. I'm also way left behind. I haven't had the opportunity.
I thought
And
it was interesting hearing a perspective that you felt as the curmudgeon that Tanya's a fly-by-night and she's here today, gone tomorrow because she wants the newest and latest and greatest. So the stability was definitely not there.
oh yeah.
Yeah, because I was the obnoxious, I'm, running as fast as I can. If you guys can't catch up, too bad for you. Mindset.
So did you learn anything about us, Tanya?
I do like what Susan just said about your, taking my not obnoxious new person with the top level skill hat off. But we've been in situations where that actually is very true.
Mhm.
Where the middle person can tend to sort of shift a little bit with both sides, but the two extremes become further and further apart as time goes on.
Mhm. Oh, that's a good observation.
And it's basically for comments like you made and like I made, right? In all joking, but in reality, those I think are some of the true feelings that people have in situations like that.
Definitely. I'm sorry I said you were fly by night.
Nope, it was true. I'm going right. I'm doing what I can do here, and I'm moving on to bigger and better things. And not everybody does. There are some cases where people will want to share their knowledge, and
Mhm.
they may very well connect with that person that is older, but that's pretty rare and what we've all seen in the IT world.
Definitely. Anybody else have any observations they made about their coworkers? All right. So I'm going to try to.
I have an observation that wasn't really stated, but I felt it, that the person that's the fly-by-night, the one that wants to move on to the bigger and better things, has zero tolerance for the one that's stuck behind and doesn't just want to, push past them. They actually want to sever ties, cut with them, and have that person just be gone.
Ooh.
Well, clearly that would make it easier.
Yeah.
Or have
I have seen this play out that way, and that seems like it would make it easier.
well, right, or have them be the keep Elizabeth where she's at and have it be constantly maintenance, right? And all the fun, new, shiny stuff or the interesting things go to that newer, more, the person with the newer skill set, which then leaves that person stuck in the weeds, right? Always in the background, always behind, because they're too valuable, right, to not have in that support role.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. Oh, you guys are so good. A+ all the way around. All right, so we're gonna move on. Now that we kind of feel established in stating where we feel like we are, let me see here. I'm gonna actually share my screen correctly this time. I'm feeling this. I really am. We are going to talk about, someday I will get this from, can't just present here. We're going to talk about, the possibility of what we each think perfection might look like. So that might be, envisioning the future based on the past, maybe the past at your current organization. Maybe you find some areas where you can agree with your coworkers or agree on maybe where you all want to get to, right? What you think would be perfect in a perfect world. Sometimes it helps to say where would we be at in 3, 5, 10, or 20 years. Now, like in IT, 20 years, hopefully we're not still using the same frameworks and software, although we are in some cases. But maybe talk about 6 months, a year out, right? Where you all hope you will be. So I'm gonna say is break into the same groups and let's talk about what a perfect world might look like.
And how many minutes would you like for this?
Oh, I don't know. 5? 4 or 5? 5.
All right. 5 minutes it is.
We'll see how long.
See you all soon.
All right.
All right, this time I'm going to pause the recording. So if you're watching this, you don't have to, scroll through for 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Anyway, enjoy. We'll be back.
My
And
team
I
does.
have... What were you saying, Tanya?
So my team doesn't like me. They think I'm mean. They're trying.
So we're back. What did you guys find out about your teams and what is important to them, your team members?
So with us, we all have slightly different perspectives. Mine is a little different. Well, let me say, Eric and Kristen's are more closely aligned than mine, but we did all come to the conclusion that one thing that we all agree on that's really important is a smooth transition. And that once the implementation is successful, everything would be smooth sailing from there. That's kind of what I learned at least.
I learned that Tanya thinks I'm going to get up in the middle of the night, but I'm not. So that was an assumption when we switched to the new framework that it's not all going to be me getting up in the middle of the night anymore.
And I learned that Elizabeth feels left out and she just wants a voice, but she doesn't really want to put in the work to have something wise to say with that voice.
I found out that you can watch YouTube videos about technology, not just video games. Eric, were you saying something?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't. I was on mute. Like nobody's listening to me. Yeah, I thought that they really just want me to do all the work. They want me to teach them, do a demo. I don't think they'll be able to understand it, but I said, okay.
So you're the one that wants all the change and they're going to make you work for it.
Pretty much, slackers.
How rude.
This is way more fun than real life. So cool. Anybody find anything else, you know, I did find out that I might have to learn something on my own, thanks to Susan and Tanya.
Oh, see, we talked about training. We said part of our ideal state was like everybody would know how this new thing worked so that nobody was left behind or left out.
Mm. I do think that we all agree that we are open to considering the new framework. So we're maybe a little behind. All right. So let's see here. All right. So then the next phase, if you remember, is talking about, oh, I'm going to share my screen. I know I can do this. Hold on. Share this. And so the next part is going to be talking about what should be. So now at this point, we're starting to look at what we're actually going to do, what our future state is. Maybe we come out, let's come out of this next segment with a couple of possibility statements, maybe grounded in the discussions we've already had. And let's see here. And also, whoops, let me go back. Maybe talking about how we can achieve this together so that maybe not everybody has to shoulder the load by themselves. So think about what you need to do to make get yourself in the right position for the future state. Does that make sense? So we'll do 4 minutes again. Or did we do 5 or 4?
We did 5 last time.
I think that was probably about right.
Okay.
Was that good for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do 5.
Alrighty. I put the stuff in the chat, so see you back in 5 minutes.
All right.
And again, if you are watching the recording, I will remember to pause this time. We're going to talk about what should be. Where can we really go from here? See you in a few. And we're back.
All right. So, in this debriefing stage, what is taking shape on your teams? So what decisions are you getting to? I can say that we're going to get professional training so that Tanya doesn't have to do all of it herself. And Susan and I think we're going to pair program. And Tanya's going to help us update some of the developer special code that we never touch.
Mm.
We might just throw that out if we can. What about you guys?
It's Eric's turn to go first.
Great minds think alike. So we wanted to, one of our strategic themes was technical debt, paying down technical debt. So we took this cheesy scaled agile approach and we wanted to set up a continuous learning sprint to focus on having a meeting with the developers to try to rank like what are key problems and key technical debts we need to pay down. We also wanted Kristen to take the lead as the architect / release train engineer.
Oh, I get both of them now. I see.
And I think she was going to work on, I think it's called enabler spikes. So there could be additional modules or add-ons to this new platform that may help our company in terms of like a scalability automation where we don't have to do so much custom code. And Christian was going to research that for our team. But I think anything else to add? I think that's what we had so far.
I think you got it. I like the idea of stealing the pair programming idea, to be honest. Adrian and I should totally pair on this thing.
Good.
She can help me decurmudgeon myself.
All right. And then what's the next level of thinking that you guys need to do? What's still missing from your plans?
Budget.
I think we talked about permission. We're at the point where we're going to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, we were going to ask for everybody to get trained on the new thing in that continuous learning sprint. And then if they said no, that they would only send one of us, then we would figure out who that was going to be and have them train the trainer.
Susan or Tanya, what else am I missing that we talked about that we still need?
I think we talked about most of it.
Yeah.
Sort of the willingness to come together. Well, no, actually, we didn't say it, that we talked about working, the three of us learning. So my learning some of the older stuff, and you guys trying to learn the new stuff, and so that we can support each other that way. A little bit of bending of the wills.
All right. And let's see here. What about the other group? Are you guys still missing information?
Sure.
Hmm?
I don't think there was anything that we talked about that we were missing.
Sounds good. All right. So now we're going to do one last round. And let me see here. We are going to do this round will be what should be, or what will be. Sorry, need to move to the next slide. What will be. So in this last round, what we're going to do is create some commitments to implementation. We're going to talk about what successes might be. Maybe we still have some disagreements on some areas. And then the other thing will be select an idea to commit to work on, as well as how you're going to get started. And then we'll debrief at the end. So,
You got 5 minutes again?
Yeah, I think. Does that still work for everyone? All right.
All righty. See you soon.
Yep.
And again, hi friends on the recording. Hope you're enjoying what will be. Back in a minute. And we're the first team back, so that means we're the coolest.
Boom.
Oh, we should have come up with a team name.
Oh, man.
Missed opportunity. I guess we're gonna have to do that in our hackathon pizza party team bonding event.
Yep. That'll be one of the goals.
So we've completed our 4th cycle. How do people feel? Do you feel like you have been listened to? Do you feel like you can do you feel like there's a possibility of making a change? Adrian.
I think
looks
so. I
like-
feel good with the plan. I feel like I had a voice in it, and so that makes me feel more comfortable that I'm engaged in the process and not just being pulled or driven over.
Yeah. Me
Yeah,
too.
I think we got a good idea of where we want to head.
Mhm. What about the other group? Do you guys feel-
Yeah, I feel like I should ask the other two if they felt like they were being listened to, since I was the one that, you know, wanted to bring on this new technology anyway.
Wait, you're asking the others if they feel listened to?
Yeah,
Wow, that feels like progress, right?
I'll say that like I always love doing these exercises, and I know that this like obviously it was an exercise, it was pretend, but appreciative inquiry just always makes me feel good. It does make me feel listened to, even if like I was taking on a you know, role that wouldn't necessarily be the one I would normally be taking on. And I also think for me, one thing I noticed is the teaching moment here is that like you do have to start to bend, like I think Tanya was saying it earlier, kind of like a meet in the middle type of thing, like you kind of bend both ways. And I think you get that from people who do have experience, whether they're on the yes, let's change everything, or like no, let's keep it all the same end to start with. Anyone who's had experience in, I don't know, working with humans, you can at least like get them to open up, usually at some point, just by asking questions and giving them the chance to feel listened to. So I really very much enjoyed this. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And if
So-
I could, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
If I could add on, I definitely got a sense of reciprocity through this exercise. And I felt like the communication was more of a two-way street versus a one-way street, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. It's so funny. Like I noticed our group started out at we all were focused on the new framework and that Tanya just didn't get to choose the framework herself. And that whole went away. And it was just all of a sudden, oh, we're gonna use this framework. How are we gonna do it and what projects are we gonna work it on? Like all of a sudden we just like it was like not like the choice wasn't the big deal. It was okay, we're not gonna all be left behind in this exact instance.
Yeah, somebody had to give in a little bit.
But
Well, and just reframing, right? Focusing on the work or the future state that you want, as opposed to focusing on who's picking what or who's doing what, or you know, how young or old somebody is, or curmudgeon-y or not.
yeah, I noticed I felt like I had more support from my coworkers where I started out feeling like I'm the only one that gets phone calls at night and I never get to do anything new. I can at least help in some ways and learn something. Anyone surprised? Oh. Anyone surprised at anything? Or
I think I'm a little surprised at how quickly we came to a general consensus on our team. So we didn't really have much, you know, I don't know, bickering or whatnot. And we kind of all agreed early on, and then started to address the, you know, the bigger picture.
all right. Let's see here. Anything else anyone wants to share?
It was insightful for me that at the end where we started talking about justifications for making this this change, it was not so much focused on the personal feelings of I feel this way. You're not moving as fast as you need to, or I'm being left behind, that kind of thing. It was more on the legitimate reasons why there's value in making that change. So it went from a personal thing to a technology or a factual or a less personal matter. And people seem to be less hurt by that, I guess. So I like that.
Cool. All right. All right, just have a little bit to finish up here. So let's see here. Unless anybody has anything else they want to say. All right. So, so, you know, this is Appreciative Inquiry is a great tool, like we talked about. And obviously it's great for situations like what we just talked about, maybe where you want to make a positive change. I think in this case, we participated in some high participation planning, and we had some new and exciting images and plans for the future. So I know, like, kind of our team, once we started talking about replacing all these old systems, like, I actually got excited in my old curmudgeonly way about you know, the new technology. And you know, maybe other good uses might be multiple change efforts or strategic cooperation, so getting everybody strategically on the same page. And also looking at culture shifts, maybe you know, what people don't like or are seeing a lot of in holding culture back from moving forward. And I will say it's not for use everywhere. So, you know, don't use Appreciative Inquiry when you're already getting what you want. Or, and this is probably, hopefully rare, but there's no commitment to positive change, right? So you know, before you use this technique, maybe go out and kind of have some one-on-one conversations to see if people are willing to bend, right? And this does no good if people aren't willing to implement the outcomes or at least make steps forward. And I think the biggest area where this shouldn't be used is when the issue is technical. I think in that case, go back to traditional problem solving. That's probably the best way to resolve the issue. Appreciative Inquiry is really where we talked about changing perspectives and getting everybody to a shared vision, which is really kind of what we ended up coming out of that exercise with. So that's all I have. I just have a few resources here if you want to do some more reading.